Okay. Call the meeting to order. All information we received, no votes taken, no decisions made. We already called a roll. I have the invocation. Who's doing the invocation on that? Mr. Barker, followed by the pledge of allegiance.
Lord, it is with gratitude that we assemble here today. Thank you for your abundant blessings. Thank you for life itself and the measure of health we need to fulfill our callings. Thank you for the ability to be involved in useful work and for the honor of bearing that responsibility. Grant us patience towards each other and respectfulness of all input. Please bestow upon us wisdom that leads to sound solutions, which strengthens our community. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So in the mayor's comments tonight, I have a few comments to make. First, I want to clear up a couple of misconceptions. One, I understand it was put out there, presented to me, that Mr. Rich, Mr. Barker, and Mr. Grooms had to force the mayor to put this on the agenda for today. I want to make it perfectly clear, no one come talk to me about an agenda. No one come to talk to me about putting amendments on the agenda. When I heard about it from Mr. Pope, who said Mr. Richard called him, said he wanted to put amendments on the agenda, and he had 3 other council people that would sign on for sponsors. At which point in time I said, great, sign them up, put them on the agenda. There was no forcing the mayor to do anything about the agenda. Second, no one with these amendments, understand, saves this city anything from being sued or saves this city from a lawsuit. Anytime you create special projects or special interests for one group, you open the other group up for saying, oh, well, you treated them special, now you need to treat me special. If you don't treat me special, then I'm gonna sue you. So don't get in your head that you pass an amendment, it's gonna protect you from lawsuits. If you think you can run a city by dodging lawsuits with this council or any council in the future, you will not get anything accomplished whatsoever because you can't do it. And I believe Mr. Wilson will bear that out. For how many cities do you work with and how many lawsuits can you dodge? None, right? But the last thing is even more important. I don't do Facebook, and I don't do social media for a very good reason. But I do have people send me snapshots of Facebook, snapshots of those social media postings, both sides. You folks that are out there doing social media need to calm down. Y'all are creating a problem amongst yourselves for no reason. And when we have Chief Gurith,
Yes, sir.
when we have people calling Chief Gurith's office complaining about threats on social media, Ms. Anderson, you don't have to take this. You can get a tape anytime you want to from the city. You don't have to worry about with your phone. Anytime you get a threat from social media and they have to go, feel like they have to go to the public safety department, guys, y'all need to just calm down. You know, it ain't worth it. Period. It's just not worth it. So, you know, do yourself a favor and get off social media. That's probably the best thing that you could ever do for yourself. All right. So tonight we have staff report. We've already did the priority. So Ms. Gorman, talk about business license update.
Okay, so we have a total of 1,109 short-term rentals licenses. Let me put my glasses on so I can see. 956 are investment short-term rentals, 153 are owner short-term rentals. Of those are all complete. We've completed 854 rental registrations, and we have spent almost 2,000 hours, 1,963, on these, which averages out to about 8.5 hours a person, because there are only 3 of us, every day for 3 months. And that's if we don't talk about going to the bathroom or eating. So we've been working very, very hard to try to get this completed, and we are still working very, very hard. But just know we're working very, very hard. There's a lot going on, and we appreciate your all support.
One thing to point out, these registrations were due June the 1st, so y'all done the bulk of these since the 1st of June.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
We're trying hard.
Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Want to call a roll just for practice?
Councilmember Farley.
Yes.
Councilmember Barker. Councilmember Grooms.
Yes.
Councilmember Rich.
Yes.
Councilmember Houghton.
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin.
Yes. Have approval of the minutes for June the 13th meeting?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Any additions or corrections? Okay.
All right. Councilmember Grooms.
Yes.
Councilmember Barker.
Yes.
Councilmember Farley.
Yes.
Councilmember Houghton.
Yes.
Councilmember Rich.
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin.
Yes. So up first this evening is Ms. Travers, the fireworks counselor. I just had to say that to Kid.
I know, right?
She caught me, I don't know how many times saying, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? We run out of water, we run out of land, we all water.
We have no land. Okay, so Kelly Travers, Folly Association of Business Event Coordinator, here to request, save the dates for 2024 events. The first one, technically kind of 2023-24, is the New Year's Eve fireworks. This one obviously takes a minute to explain, which I sent in the packet, but high tide that evening is at 11:06 p.m., which prevents us from doing a midnight show without a renourishment in place. So our plan is to make it more of a family-friendly event with the show time at 7 p.m. Low tide is at 4:56, but we still need it to be dark. So we're going for 7 p.m. Obviously, the show is tentative, based on what storms we may encounter this fall, further beach erosion, things like that. But right now, tentatively, it's planned for 7 p.m. And then, of course, the polar bear plunge is the next day. Low tide is at 5:30 a.m., high tide's at noon, so we're looking for approximately a mid-morning start for that. For the plunge, that'll be in front of the tides, with a roped-off area secured, and then an after-party on the tides deck. Taste of Folly, after talking to Chief and staff, we've decided to move that 1 week later, so that would be the 3rd week of January. So that is January 20th, I believe. Yeah, January 20th, with the rain date of the 27th. Sea and Sand will of course be the last weekend in February, so we don't conflict with Seaweed or anything like that. It'll be the 32nd year for Sea and Sand, which we're really excited about. 4th of July fireworks. Again, pretty standard. Our hope is that we can do fireworks with the renourishment in place. We're also looking at the possibility of a drone show or similar due to environmental concerns associated with our fireworks. So we're in the exploratory process for that. And then Mermaids and Mateys will be the last weekend of September, the 28th, with the rain date of the first week of October. So that's kind of where we are with those. Any questions?
I think it's great. You worked very hard. Those decisions are not easy to make.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think what you do contributes significantly to the quality of life and bringing us together to celebrate. So I appreciate it.
So what you just, Mermaids and Mateys, because we're not doing it in 2023 because of the 50th, picking it back up in 2024 is what you were just thinking. September 28th is 2024?
That's exactly right. Yes, we are shelving it for Folly's 50th.
I'm fine. All good?
I love the idea of the drones. Laser light show.
Yeah, deep and exploratory
Be
process
fun.
for that.
So you want to make a motion to accept her dates as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions, comments?
Councilmember Houghton.
Yes.
Councilmember Grooms.
Yes.
Councilmember Farley.
Yes.
Councilmember Barker.
Yes.
Councilmember Rich.
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin.
Yes. Mr. Parker?
I'm Richard Parker, full-time resident at 1029 West Ashley. Thank you, council, for the freedom to speak and read what I prepared. I have two parts. First part is Second Block West, and specifically my parcel on this block, 206 West Arctic. I bought my parcel on Second Block West on 5/20 of 2020, 3 years ago. I bought it to be an income-producing property and nothing else. I bought it as island commercial zoning. Previous to this zoning, it was resort commercial, which makes sense as there are approximately 200 condo units on West Arctic Avenue within a stone's throw of my parcel. My available uses at the time included both commercial structures and/or short-term rental. Both of those uses, which produce an income for me, have now been stripped away through council's actions, specifically rezoning in the middle of my development and an unsuccessful variance request after the rezoning. After purchase in 2020, I immediately began development by clearing the lot after the occupants moved out a few months later. My first project, 2 short-term rental homes, did not meet Folly's code, and rather than reduce, we voluntarily scrapped it. My second project, Jelly Beans Coffee and Provisions, with some residential above, finally did pass through Folly's planning and zoning administrator in terms of site plan and the structure to be built. With this zoning approval, we began moving on to the next step, permitting. However, here comes a building moratorium out of nowhere that stopped us in our tracks. During the building moratorium, a rezoning of Second Block West was introduced and it actually passed. The leading reason for rezoning was to mirror Second Block West to Second Block East. Here's what this month's Sandsburg, the Arctic Avenue plan, states about West Arctic versus East Arctic. Both districts serve as access to the beach, but have noticeable differences on how people use them. The team plans to address them individually to produce the best results. I applied for a variance and received unanimous approval from council. And I met with Jenna, who put together a specific ordinance for my parcel and project. When I returned to council, some of you thought I had ulterior motives, and that I was going to get the zoning and immediately sell the lot. I wasn't. However, to allay any fears, all you had to do, and all you have to do, is condition the variance on me building the actual project I'm proposing. The lot is still empty today, 3 years empty. And what has happened to me is that I got burned bad. Today, I'm soon to submit a build of 2 residential structures that meet your current zoning. However, I still want to put my coffee shop under the structure closest to Arctic Avenue. I think it will be a huge bonus for the community, and it has the added bonus of helping our traffic congestion. See many West Enders cross Center Street numerous times during the week to go to Burt's for staples like milk, bread, ice, and ice cream. I'll have all that, and I'll have an entrance on West Ashley 1.5 blocks before Center Street with an exit on West Arctic, turning back west and going home without anyone on the west end coming close to the sometimes dangerous Center Street intersection. So here's my ask to council. Either modify the current zoning to specify my lot is under development and therefore granted previous zoning uses, or add to my previous variance the condition that I must build the exact project I proposed to Jenna, or the variance becomes null and void. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions, Mr. Parker? Thank you very much. Ms. Anderson. Oh, there she is, hiding in the back.
Hello. Thank y'all for letting me come here today, and I wanna thank y'all for all y'all do. We, last year held our first annual pickleball tournament, the Folly Beach Exchange Club. I'm Tara Anderson, I'm the president of the Folly Beach Exchange, and that has been operating on Folly for 73 years now. And, so we're trying to do our second annual, and the first annual was fabulous. It went over really well, and it was a huge community event. And we didn't have any hitches. We had, great community support, and we were just asking to be able to use the park, the Tim Goodwin Park, on November 11th and 12th of 2023, and then a rain date of the following weekend, which would be November 18th, 19th.
Motion to approve?
So moved.
Yep. Did you make a motion to approve, DJ?
Did.
You second, okay. Any questions, comments? I only gonna vote for this if you promise to put Mr. Grooms in a Dunkin' booth.
Done. Can we put you in there too?
No, I've done my time.
Maybe DJ?
Done mine as well. Why not?
Councilmember Farley,
Yes.
Councilmember Barker,
Yes.
Councilmember Rich,
Yes.
Councilmember Grooms,
Yes.
Councilmember Houghton,
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Pickleball.
Okay. So we get down to citizen comments. Got 2 minutes to comment on what's on the agenda. If you're here with a group of people and you all want to say the same thing, it'd be easier if you just said, I'm here with 5 people, stand up, let's all say the same thing at one time.
I'd like to say something.
Excuse me?
I'd like to say something about the walkway. That's on the agenda.
No, ma'am, that was a work session. The agenda's, but you have plenty of time to talk to everybody about a walkway. Because they gotta come back and talk about feasibility.
Send an email.
That's fine, or just come in and make an appointment and sit down and talk with us. Or especially Eric.
Yeah.
Since he's doing the feasibility studies, he might come back and say, hey, we had a comment and, think about this, okay? All right, so, you got 2 minutes. Hopefully, if you're a big group, y'all can group it at one time. And, excuse me, 3 minutes. I've been corrected. They want to go argue with 2 minutes. No, you gotta say something. You're not good. So you got 3 minutes, and be civil. We will be civil. No applauding, no clapping, no booing, no hollering, no jeering. Just keep it nice and simple and get through it. All right? All right, who wants to raise their hand and go first? Ms. Wetmore?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Is there a button or anything, or I just, I'm Spencer Wetmore. Great to see everyone. I've spoken to council about this issue before, so I'll make it very brief. As council knows, I have 2 clients that I represented in an appeal hearing on a short-term rental. That was Ms. June Todd and Ms. Marsha Pardee. They have both owned their properties for many decades. It became clear in the appeal hearing, they both, through errors, in fact, Ms. Pardee's husband, as many of you know, has been diagnosed with some pretty serious health issues, and because neither of them timely submitted their applications, they were both late, we weren't able to resolve anything through an appeal hearing. It became clear that this was something that council would need to be able to resolve. So I'm speaking tonight in support of the resolution. regarding the short-term rentals. We would ask for your support. My understanding is that this would be a very, very small group of people that would be affected by the particular language as to the failure to timely, excuse me, renew. Obviously, everyone has notice now going forward that this would not be allowed, and certainly this would be limited to those who had been affected by this situation, excuse me, and paid their 2022 accommodations taxes. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. Next. Yes, ma'am.
It's not my phone.
Hi, my name is Allison McNatt, and I'm a relatively new resident of Folly, going on 3 years. I'm from Hartsville, South Carolina, and lived in Austin, Texas,
What's your address?
318 West Ashley.
Wait.
And lived in Austin, Texas for 13 years before moving to Folly. It's not that I'm opposed to STRs, I just have witnessed the challenges that Austin is still facing in lieu of the STR wave, and I don't want Folly to continue along the same path. Platforms such as Airbnb have contributed to an inflated housing market, resulting in an exponential rise in rent, higher property taxes, more transits than locals, a higher crime rate, and an exhaustive police force. A cap restores balance and protects communities. I want to know my neighbors and build lasting friendships and relationships. When we first moved here, there was a storm which resulted in the loss of power. I was greeted by my neighbor Rao, who shared hot coffee because he weathered Folly's storms for decades, knows all about the generators. That's what I want. I want neighbors. I want a community, plain and simple. A cap is a cap, a lid, a hat, a peak, a limit, and that is that. Make no exceptions for those too late. They got to get in line and sit and wait. They paid their taxes, and that is great. Still need that license to operate. Please refrain from ordinance repeal. These amendments undermine our deal. Excuses, delays, it's all a spiel, a rat race, in fact, get off the wheel. A cap is a cap, a lid, a hat, a peak, a limit, and that is that. Enforcing the cap needs more actions. Inconsistencies and inaction begs me to question our own faction. Violations need police action. Speaking on law enforcement's behalf, they need 10 times the amount of staff to handle the ongoing riffraff of warning simply wants a laugh. A cap is a cap, a lid, a hat, a peak, a limit, and that is that. Reports of dogs, incessant barking, construction crews, illegal parking, prohibited fireworks, found sparking, enforcement is key, just remarking. We see costs continue to inflate. Folly is what we choose to create, and the cap is still up for debate. Sorry guys, too little, too late.
Sorry.
It's not pleasant.
All right, we'll not have any more outbursts like that, or you will not be in here, okay? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Jody Rogers. I'm a full-time resident in Folly Beach at 517 West Beachport. And I just wanted to say a few words to support the amendment. I think that people, residents, as well as people that are not full-time residents, have been financially impacted by this short-term rental cap. I think a little compassion, a little understanding for people that have been caught in what was really a pretty unpredictable situation. A lot of these people were in process of construction or had the life circumstances going on while there was a lot of politicking, and I just think that it would show, and it would be very Folly-like to show compassion and make exceptions for the people that that are not able to renew their short-term rental license. Part of the negative impact that we're seeing is that the real estate sales have slowed down on Folly. I don't think there's data that shows that. I think what I saw since the beginning of the year, new single-family homes, 74% reduction in sales year over year. So the people that didn't get their short-term rental paperwork in, or that got caught up in the construction, they're in a really bad situation now. If they try to sell their home, I mean, it'll be a long time, and there's a good chance that they will have lost significant amount of the value in their home. So I would just ask council members, please consider that. And then the final thing that I would say is that I am really disappointed, Mayor, to your point about social media, in the lack of compassion that's come from other residents on the financial hardship that's been created for this for some of our fellow residents.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ann Peete, 606 West Beach Court. I have a wide network of friends on Folly and care deeply about this community. And I'm speaking on behalf of the hundreds of residents of the Folly Beach Residents Association who continue to ask me to. Resident voters in the largest turnout in Folly history voted in this cap of 800 investment STRs, a direct voter mandate that needs to be honored. Every new rule imposing major changes comes with cutoff dates, and any exception opens the door for too many downsides for actually both parties. A couple of examples would be, number one, establishing a precedent of exceptions that rewards bad or lazy actors instead of compliant ISTR owners. Number two, there are 30 properties, is what we understand, that are wrapped up in these exceptions. That means there's the 40 that were quiet license additions, plus this 30 more dramatically increases license waiting times by about 70 properties in total. This is not fair to compliant ISTRs on the waiting list who are playing by the rules. If I were one of those ISTRs, I'd get pissed. And this sets a huge negative precedent for the blatant disregard of a decision by the voters on the island. And isn't there an appeals process already in place? Have these properties gone through it? I mean, if so, what was the outcome? If they were denied an appeal, they shouldn't get a second shot at as an exception. What you will hear today from investors is the downplaying of these amendments, saying things like, it's just a few properties, it's no big deal, and also those saying the resident group is overreaching. Well, we're not, because we've just read many ISTR owners, including a senior partner in a major developer law firm, commenting that and saying these amendments are the first step towards repeal of the cap. So it's completely clear to me that these exceptions are part of a well-orchestrated strategy ramped up once again to artfully chip away at the cap. We as residents can't think of any part of this that benefits the
Okay.
resident community.
Sorry.
So let me just say one more thing, one
No.
sentence. Okay.
Hey, I'm running the meeting. Thank you very much. You had your hand up first.
Thank you very much. We'll get that over there. Hello, everybody. My name is Neil Brugal. I live at 1702 East Ashley Avenue. Well, I should have listened to what you said, Mayor, about staying off of social media. Usually I do, but I read it today, and some of it is what you wrote. And it got me like, man, what the heck's going on? And I started thinking about it a little bit, and we had this debate, limited debate, because the two sides never talked together to come up with some common solutions, and we had a vote, and the vote was capped. And because of that vote, we got a divided citizenship. And because of rhetoric that is put on social media, it continues to be divided. Not the time to be divided, folks. It's time to be together, okay? Prices are dropping precipitously. That's right, precipitously here in Folly Beach. The rest of Charleston County is going up. This is from the Charleston Triad Association of Realtors. I just got this today. And again, I don't look at this stuff. I should be looking at the damn birds on the thing, but some of this rhetoric gets me crazy. New listings, Folly Beach, year to date, down 40%, 39.5. Closed sales, down 74%. Median sale price, down 15%. Average sale price, down 24.7%. That's not good, folks. It's not good at all, okay? And it's not going to get better. How did we get here? Well, we got here by the vote, but we didn't talk to each other. We didn't sit down, Folly United and Folly residents or whatever. They never talked and came back with some solutions. It turned into us versus them. It's like MAGA politics. And I'm seeing these bold, everything in capitals things. And it's upsetting. It's upsetting because this is not where I wanted to move to. I didn't want to move into this. But guess what? I'm here and so are the rest of you. Okay? It's okay to admit that a mistake was done. Mistakes happen. Cap's a mistake. You see, pride gets in the way of common sense. When it at all costs, takes over. It's a bad one. We're right here in the middle of it. Oh, good Lord, I ain't even started. Okay, that's it. All right. All right. Well, listen, last thing, I'm not gonna give a little OT up one thing. This is an easy one, folks. 7-0. Cut your losses, man. Vote this thing 7-0.
Thank you.
Pass this thing, and that's enough. And thank you very much. I thought I had a lot more time to say.
This is my second part.
Good part. Left that.
This is my opinion as a member of the community. The February 7th STR cap ordinance is not working. Evidenced by what appears to be a modification of that ordinance listed on this agenda. This is a step in the right direction for sure, although I fear it may open Pandora's box. Some of you must feel that the February 7th short-term rental cap ordinance is cut too deep into Folly's fiber. The short-term rental cap is the elephant in the room, and it warrants community discussion. We were fussing about this issue last year at this time, after 1, then 2, then 3 no votes. Here comes a referendum vote out of left field that in retrospect was a successful Hail Mary. The night of February 7th, we had a 50-50 divided community. 50.1% voted yes versus 49.9% voted no. Most of the owners of short-term rental houses were, some of the owners of short-term rental houses were not able to vote, not the part-time residents. I'm a full-time resident. Previous to this, I was a part-time resident for 7 years. This was the path to many on the island along their journey to becoming full-time residents. The only way they could afford that path was to draw some income until the day their last child left home and they could burn rubber down to Folly Beach and become full-time residents, like we did. Today, 5 months later, we still have a 50-50 divided community, but it's now getting bitter and more divisive. At the heart of the issue, and I'm just picking one, is the provision for non-transferability of an existing SDR license to our children. Remove or modify just this one provision.
Thank you, Mr. Parker.
And you get support from both sides.
Thank you.
I have to come back next month.
Only if we're talking about it on the agenda. Yes, sir.
We need to talk about this.
Yes, my name is Chris Bazell. I live at 310 East Hudson, right down the street. I really want to start by saying just how disappointed I am that we're having to even speak about this tonight. After all the animosity and vitriol that led up to the February vote, it finally felt like the island was healing, and here we are again. The rules of the STR limit, the cap, it's all about balance. It was about balancing livability, quality of life, residents, and short-term rentals. It wasn't about getting rid of short-term rentals or anything like that. It's all about balance. My wife and I bought a house on Hudson's, tiny house, a year and a half ago. We probably overpaid. Can I come back to the city now and ask for a $200,000 rebate? No, that's ludicrous. But that's what's happening here. Investors dragged their feet, they made bad bets, and now they're asking for the city to bail them out. The amendments presented here are designed to address investor concerns. That's the problem. When you look at Folly as an investment, you cease to put the needs of the community first. Folly should not ever be looked at as solely an investment vehicle. We are a community. We always hear the term, keep Folly, Folly. But what is Folly? It's the people. It's the organizations like the Civic Club, the Exchange Club, Folly's Angels, our churches, the Turtle Watch program, Warrior Surf, the people that make the fabric of our community. If we continue to lose population on the same path we're on right now, we're 21% smaller than we were in 2010. If we continue to add amendments to this that chip away at the cap, reduce the amount of full-time residents, we're just degrading the fabric of our community even worse. We need to keep Folly, Folly, and remember what's really important. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir.
I'm J.D. McAllister. I live at 1715 East Ashley. I would just raise a couple of questions. It seems to me there are two classes of people lumped together in one ordinance amendment. Those in paragraph A might have a more sympathetic argument than those in paragraph B. I wonder why it is being voted on together.
Because that's the way the amendment was written. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Mary Hadley. We live at 1008 East Cooper. I just want to thank you all for the work you do. Can't even imagine being in your situation. I think my note right now is basically about, I am not against short-term rentals. I work for a person who has short-term rentals. So it's where I make my money. I know how they can be run well. They are run, they don't have issues, okay? She also has to pay the taxes. She has to do the licenses on these units, these homes, throughout the year at various times. Yet she can manage it. She's also got a live-in parent she's caring for, an elderly parent. If she can manage that, then I'm sorry to say, but the slackers that are late, if they're licensing them, they can pay taxes. Rules are made for a reason. If we're just gonna totally disregard rules, why even put them in there? If here's the limit for your license, it's gotta be in by that time. That's what I can say. I love Folly, it's a great community. I hate to see it torn apart, where everybody is entitled to come to the beach, and it's wonderful that people can come and enjoy it as much as we do. But let's find balance and keep a balance, because everybody's entitled. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Do you want to speak? You've had your hand up 2 or 3 times. I've been trying to go back and forth.
I know. My name's Kevin O'Connell. I live in on Shadow Race Lane. We're full-time residents as of December. So I sent an email out to everyone on council, my concern about some of these amendments that are going on. I like the fact that it was detailed out a bit by DJ. I think it was clear, much clearer than I thought. So I think that the problem is, it's a 3-piece for me. I think the people who invested in building before the 7th, who are going to be owners of an STR, have some standing. I think the people who are builders and investors to build a property not for sale and expect us to gift them a license, I think it shouldn't happen. As far as people, the 10 people were late on renewing their license, the fact that the city didn't check and accepted the payments, I think the city's at fault there and should pay more attention.
Let me clear something up, stop you.
Okay.
You're talking about A taxes, just so everybody knows.
I'm talking about a combination tax.
Well, but,
Okay.
yeah, combination taxes,
Right.
A taxes. The
Okay.
city does not collect the A taxes. The A taxes are paid to the state and to the county. The city gets one check. So we don't know who paid, who didn't pay, unless something like this comes up and we have to go back and investigate. We don't go through everybody's A tax or combination tax roster. So when they send their combination taxes in, it's a state law that they're abiding by and a county law they're abiding by. And then the county and the state reimburse us for what our part should have been for that. So we don't collect the taxes.
Okay,
personally.
how does the city then verify whether you have a license, a good one or a bad one?
When it comes back, and you apply for a license, or you don't apply for a license, they can go back and see if you applied. If you didn't apply and you're advertising the rent, then you don't have a license.
Okay, all right.
Go ahead.
Anyways, that's all I had to say.
Okay.
Thank you.
Just so everybody knows that we, the city, don't collect the taxes. We, the city, get a check from the state that collects the taxes. All right, who had their hand up next? Yes, ma'am, I forgot, Lala, sorry.
Hello, y'all. Thank you. I'm Lila Beckham. I live at 418 East Arctic Avenue. I am the 2nd generation Folly Beach child. My children are the 3rd generation. We love Folly Beach. I am a full-time resident here. We have all enjoyed this beach. We've had renters around us all our lives. We voted, we the people of Folly Beach, that was included me, to cap it. I'm not against renters, but I think we voted to cap. If you didn't pay your get your permit or whatever it is on time, I'm sorry, if I don't renew my driver's license on time, I have to take the test again. I'm not honored of the driver's license. I grew, my husband was a builder. We have been in building all of our lives. Yes, there are bad times. We have fallen under these bad times where, just like a builder, things couldn't get it on time. You couldn't get it, so we didn't get out a permit to say we had the occupancy. We didn't get it. It just didn't happen. We weren't given a second chance. I think the council ought to go forget the amendments. I'm sorry. We voted no by short margin, and I hate the bitterness on this island because I know my neighbors. I know the renters that rent around me. I take them cookies. I take them coffee cakes. I enjoy my renters. But I think the amendment, we voted no, and I think the amendments, it should stay no. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Thank you. My name's Mary Cato. I live at 1636 East Ashley. I'm going to start with a quote from Dale Carnegie. Don't ask a man what is important to him, watch how he spends his time. Instead of creating a noise ordinance to benefit the residents, we see an ordinance attempting to increase the number of short-term rentals, going against a cap the residents put in place. I created an unofficial online survey and in 48 hours have received 60 names of residents opposing this new ordinance. Upon request, I will individually meet with you and share the names and comments, but will not share them publicly in order to protect our community members. I believe it's overreach for council to make changes to the citizen-led ordinance without citizen approval. This is disrespectful to the over 500 residents who work to create and support the STR cap ordinance. This is not your ordinance to change. This is a citizen's ordinance and should only be changed by citizen vote. These additional short-term rentals will degrade the areas they are in. They will lower property values. They will reduce sale potential for all the neighboring properties. Residents invest in their properties. For many of us, it's our largest investment. Why are you working to devalue the investment of residents by putting more short-term rentals in our residential areas, beyond those allowed in the cap ordinance? Each of these investors has an option. Get in line for a license like everyone else, including residents who live here. Make it a second home, a full-time residence and a 72-day rental, 30-day rent, or sell it. What are the options for the full-time neighbor next door to the STR? Be burdened to manage strangers and transient guests next door, struggle to sell at a reduced value, and potentially be forced out due to the negative impact of the business next door. Move from their home. Leave their primary home at Folly Beach and get in line for an STR license. That is not fair. Definite no from me.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Who's next?
Hi, I'm Ellen Stoller. I live in 23 West 9th Street. I'm not against the cap, but I feel the speed with which this happened left many people not understanding what was. I mean, there were so many questions that so many people had, that they really weren't aware of the consequences. I know people who have gone to the other side of the fence because of that when they became better educated. I also feel that there were a lot of people who were renting residence. And yes, this is your home. I don't feel that you're vested the same way a resident is who owns. So it was very hard for me because the majority was minuscule. I mean, 49 and a half to 50 and a half or 51. It was pretty minuscule. So, that bothered me. And then there's the option of grandfathering. I mean, if people are impacted financially, that's serious. Some of them are decades of plans. Some of them are only 1 decade of plans. For some people, it's their retirement plan. You know, and to say that that's not, to say that's without consideration, this really leaves me sad because
I feel like you represent everybody here and should reach a compromise where everyone can succeed. So it's just the speed with which it happened and the impact financially on so many people. Why can't there be some sort of a grandfathering? You know, that those who had licenses can change their license from an OSTR to an ISTR. I mean, it just, or, okay, I'll stop.
Thank you.
And residents shouldn't be limited to 72 days.
Ma'am, that's not our fault. That's controlled by the IRS and the state, not us.
Oh, because of the 6%, 4%.
Right.
City Council, thank you for all you do. My name is Richard Beck. I live at 1613 Folly Creek Way. I think maybe we haven't given the fact that the referendum passed enough credibility. It passed despite the fact that a national PAC put all of its efforts into making sure that the ISTRs would be unlimited on Folly. And as someone said earlier, it's really a matter of balance. If you have unlimited ISTRs, you have no community. We need STRs, we've always had them here, but it's about balance. So the cap, I feel like it's something, and in our history, that has been, referendums have been taken seriously. When a community goes through what it went through to come to a decision, city councils in the past have given that decision great weight, and I hope that you will. I think that the problems, if the problems are as small as you indicate that they are, why can't they be handled administratively? I do not understand why we have to amend a sacred, what I call a sacred ordinance, by piecemealing it. Because it can lead us to basically taking the cap apart, which is, I think, the aim of some of the people in this community. So thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Capel, I'm gonna try to cut down my limit because I've heard a lot of the same things I was gonna say. 612 West Beach Court. I'm trying to really kind of look at this as a balance. Like, look at both sides, everybody's feeling. I think we're all fairly empathetic. I know it's gotten really divisive, etc. But if I really look at what these two amendments do, it seems like it hurts both sides. It seems like it makes it harder and adds more people to the list, more STRs. We are at whatever you just said. Was that final numbers? If those are final numbers, we've lost about 50 ISTRs. So the list is already coming down, if that's right, right? So we're already chipping away at the list. We don't even have a wait list yet, which is a whole nother topic. But why add, we already added 40 more or so by allowing the multi-units who did not have multiple licenses. So we already added 40 to the number that we had when we had a vote. And now we're talking about adding 30, 40, or with some loopholes or strange vague language I'm worried about, maybe more. So now we're just going right back up. When we already kind of whittled down and making it harder on my neighbors like Johnny Western, who I love, and Jody, and some of these other people who are really worried. And I feel for them, I understand it. I don't plan to ever leave Folly. I plan to fight for it and stay in this community. However, I do feel for people who are concerned. If we stay the path of the cap is the cap. That's great. The cap is the cap, and that's that. However, this makes it harder for the people, everybody on both sides, to ever get a license. Not ever, but to get a license sooner, right? The next thing I'd say is, where the hell is the darn wait list? I think everybody would feel better. It's been 9 months since a moratorium, 5 months since we passed this thing. I know it's difficult to figure this out, but I think a lot of people would feel a whole lot better if we had the wait list and you knew where you stood on it. That's just, and I'm not gonna say that anybody's doing anything wrong, I'm speaking on.
That's a whole other process.
I believe it, I believe it, I just wanna throw it out there.
Well, number one, hang on, she got a minute. Number one, we haven't gone through the process of how the wait list will be handled.
I know.
And number two, we're nowhere near having to have a wait list, so.
But I think people would feel better if they knew where they stood on it. And I'm just speaking on, I'm trying to say on both sides, and I don't have an answer, I'm not on the task force for it, but At the end of the day, I'd say that exceptions like this open up a crazy path of future exceptions. How do you say no to the next person who comes up and says, well, here's my situation, here's my little nuance? How many more of these you open the city up to, and residents up to? So I'm just trying to think about it on both sides, and I guess I think if I really look at it, let's get down to enforcement. Everybody on all sides of this thing keep saying it over and over, let's enforce it. Let's get the wait list as soon as we can, people figure out where they are, and just work the process. That's where we are, rather than adding more licenses and making it harder to get more in the future. Sound good?
Thank you.
I have beeper hadn't gone off. I can keep talking. The last thing I say is, again, this is such a hard decision. I thank everybody for your service. I can't imagine all the emails and all the corner talks that are happening to you, so I do appreciate how hard it is. And I do say that with a lot of
Y'all wore the
empathy.
beeper out. Okay. Thank you very much. So, we have no commission or board reports this evening, we have no old business this evening, so we're down to ordinance 17-23. Ordinance amending Folly Beach Code of Ordinances, Chapter 117, short-term rentals by exempting residents permitted for construction prior to February the 7th, 2023, number one. And number two, owners who had short-term rental business license in 2021 and paid a combination of taxes in 2022 from the cap on short-term rental business license. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Which one of you three want to start off?
I'll take it. To start off with, I want to apologize to the mayor because I think there was a little bit of miscommunication between staff and I, because I 100% said if, ask the mayor to put it on there. If he's not okay, I do have sponsors as well. So I do apologize, and we spoke about that earlier, so that'll be rectified moving forward. Second, we don't have a waiting list. We don't have a lot of procedures, and these are people that have been caught in the middle. And one of the things when I say keep Folly, well, Folly's also compassionate to people like that. We're not talking about investors. We're talking about some of these are our neighbors and residents. So I want everybody to just keep that in mind. Not all of them, but some of them are. And you need to have a little compassion like that when things are going on. The appeal process they went through wasn't right. All right, they went through it because it followed the letter of the law, and it didn't have room for compassion with something like this. And this thing sped right through, and there were some people that got lost in the confusion. What we've tried to work on is those certain people, like, yes, you paid your taxes, you didn't get your rental, sure, we can give you a license. We've got it narrowed down. We're gonna make a couple amendments here in a minute that narrow down to 24 possible licenses total that we're dealing with, and that's it. And it's people that have truly gotten caught into it, and we feel do have a good leg to come after us, whether they do or not, or it goes anywhere. They got kind of caught into something where they got halfway into something, and then we kind of told them no. So that's what I want to say first. First thing I'd like to do is make an amendment to amendment number 2, so that we add October 19th, 2023, so that it now reads, any investment short-term rental business license for which the unit to be rented was permitted under construction prior to October 19th, 2023, but had not received a certificate of occupancy.
Are you making a motion to change February the 7th to November the 19th?
No, I'm adding that in so that anyone who got their building permit before the moratorium we're talking about, and not those that got it after. Anyone who got a building permit after the moratorium, that's not a hardship that we're talking about.
October what?
October 19th, 2023 was the day the moratorium started.
22.
I'm sorry, well, our city administrator gave me wrong information. October
22 to 19th would work.
Yeah.
Okay, do I have a second for the amendment, to the amendment?
Second.
Anybody want to say anything?
This way, like I just said, if you got your permit during the moratorium, you knew the risk involved. People before that are the ones that kind of got caught in a hard space. This narrows the potential pull down a lot.
Now, I want to say one thing. I am kind of tired of hearing about the speed of this moratorium. I had a committee appointed, of which we had a council member, a part of the committee, that worked for a year, holding meetings, holding public hearings. And then we had how many workshops on this after that? Month after month after month? There was no speed in this, folks. This was not done in the back room, not done on the back burner, it was not pushed through in a hurry. So let's quit talking about the speed.
Sure.
But, anybody else?
I think this amendment is well placed. People that applied for the building permit after the moratorium was in are just like any other second homeowner that may have applied for an investment short-term renter on a second home they had here. Those people were in line. Those people were waiting, and it's fair that people that applied for a building permit after the first moratorium went in should be treated the same way. I think it's a question of fairness, and I think this makes it a little bit more fair, and it doesn't put anybody, doesn't give anybody a golden ticket that puts them before anybody else. I think it's a timely amendment.
Okay,
That's
anybody
all.
else? All right, this is on the amendment to amendment section B.
Councilmember Barker.
Yes.
Councilmember Grooms.
Yes.
Councilmember Farley.
Yes.
Councilmember Houghton.
No.
Councilmember Rich.
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin.
On the amendment, yes. Okay. Any other amendments to the amendment?
I'd like to offer an amendment, and that would be,
Excuse me?
I would like to amend the same section, 117.02C 2B, and add, in order to receive a short-term rental business license under this provision, the construction must have been for a complete home construction or a major renovation requiring a new certificate of occupancy. Also, the owner must receive a certificate of occupancy on or before August 15th, 2023, and apply for the license on or before September 15th, 2023. Only the owner of the unit on February 7th, 2023 can apply for a license under this provision, and any license issued under this provision, like all business license, is not transferable.
Okay, hang on a minute. We're gonna take a recess of 5 minutes. You're gonna email that to him?
I think he has it.
You got it? You're gonna go print it off for these folks to look at.
Okay.
Because I know everybody sitting here tonight.
That's the last thing I said about printing it out. Remember, I said, you get my email? So you have it.
Hey, we hadn't adjourned yet, so y'all just. No, we're just taking a break for him to go.
What, you got a buzzer underneath there for that clock or what?
Yeah.
Yeah, you buzzing me.
I done buzzed it fast.
Someone, it looks like someone got the hook out there. That'd be a little something there. I was like, what's going on?
We could have long. Ain't no long in a hook, it's a bad idea.
Yeah.
But maybe we're gonna go over time, yeah.
Dog show.
Well, let it sit on the hook. Everybody went over, that won't happen again.
There's actually two of them. He's printing both of them off, but they'll build them in the same shape. So I have to enter something. So I have to offer the first one. Both of them are the same question.
We have a plan.
For the second one, we'll put it on.
Yes. Do you want one, a paper? What do you reread?
They got time to read it right now. That's what they got to do. They give Mr. Rich first. She'll be back. Talking about the two. They're pretty good, really.
They do.
I like the bicep. All right, folks. Call back to order. All right. Okay, so y'all all have Mr. Farley's amendment in front of you, which is number 2 on this page. You want to read it again?
Sure.
I would read it, but I don't have the voice for it.
In order to, adding at the end of 11702C2B, in order to receive a short-term rental business license under this provision, the construction must have been complete home construction or major renovation requiring a new certificate of occupancy. Which means is just because you had a business license, or just because you had a building permit, doesn't mean it qualifies you for this provision. It had to be for a new home or a major renovation that requires a new certificate of occupancy. Also, the owner must receive a certificate of occupancy on or before August 15th, 2023, and apply for the license on or before September 15th. And that's just so this thing doesn't drag on. If people have their building permit by this provision, it has to be now from before October 19th or 22nd, whatever we landed on. And then lastly, only the owner of the unit on February 7th, 2023 can apply for a license under this provision. And any license issued under this provision, like all business license, is not transferable. So if someone's had a permit to build a spec house, and they had a permit to build that spec house before October 19th, they couldn't sell it with the opportunity to get this short-term rental license. And that was what I had operated.
So we had a motion, we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion or question on this amendment?
So I believe this amendment is quite valuable. It limits the scope. Unlike the mayor, I did spend a fair amount of time looking at social media, and a consistent theme that I saw among people was that there's concern over, I have a permit to paint my house or screen my porch, and rather than it be narrowly focused to the roughly 30 parcels that DJ may have alluded to earlier, the thought is that it might be more widely available and could be hundreds, many hundreds, which would be an enormous problem and certainly not the intent of any of this. So I think it's appropriate insofar as narrowing the scope. The one thing, if I could, I'd like to suggest is that we define major renovation to include 50% or more of the value of the home. Otherwise, major renovation is really a little subjective.
I would accept that. Is that?
That's fine, but that's fine.
50% or greater.
Is, Mr. Lutz, is that sort of?
Yes, sir, that fits our definition of substantial improvements already in our ordinances repeatedly.
So would I be better to say, instead of a major renovation, to call it a substantial renovation that exceeds 50%?
I believe that'd be more clear and consistent.
I'm fine with that, as long as Mr. Rich.
Sorry.
We're going to change it from major renovation to substantial renovation, which is more than 50%, Joe?
Okay.
Right, well, is it the intent that it still has to require a new certificate of occupancy?
Yes.
That's kind of the point. Just so we're clear, that's what whatever you add, that's the requirement. And Eric, does that make sense?
The word substantial improvement, to keep it consistent with our ordinances.
Yes, I'm good to second that.
Anything else? Okay, you got that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. Councilmember Rich.
Yes.
Councilmember Houghton.
No.
Councilmember Grooms.
Yes.
Councilmember Farley.
Yes.
Councilmember Barker.
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin.
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Farley, I think you got one more.
One more, it's on the same sheet that was handed out, and this goes towards section 1, which is 117.02C2A, and that would be to add any such owner, and this has to do with the valid short-term rental license, or when associated accommodations taxes were kept current, to add on there that any such owner must submit their short-term rental business license application for 2022 and for 2023 by September 15th of this year, and pay any late fees due on such applications. So this ordinance, so this amendment doesn't give a free pass where we just forget about 22 and you can jump right into 23. You have to make things right from 22, 23, pay the late fees, and pay any application fees. That's a motion to amend.
Do you have a second?
Second.
I have a question on this. Why September 15th? Because I would prefer to move it up, or, to, I guess, today, or June 30th, I think was when it all ended. Because I would open-end it if people wanted to come in to maybe not have registered their business license. But this would just, the people that have already registered for a business license would give them that grace. Does it make sense?
August 1st?
Well, I'm thinking,
Forget, we got 2 readings here.
Oh, 2 readings.
yeah, okay.
So this isn't gonna, unless we have
Okay.
a special council meeting, this would not be adopted until August, second Tuesday in August. Just a point.
Okay.
Let's just leave it at September 15th.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll just leave it at September 15th.
August 8th, yeah. Okay. Any other questions?
Councilmember Barker.
Yes.
Councilmember Farley.
Yes.
Councilmember Rich.
Yes.
Councilmember Houghton.
No.
Councilmember Grooms.
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin.
No. Okay, any other amendments to the amendment? Okay, back to the original ordinance 17-23 as amended.
Mr. Mayor, I motion to table the amendment, or the ordinance as amended, to provide the public with more time to process and comment, and the same for council.
I'll second that.
I love it when they keep putting things off.
Now, ideally, we would work session this at the next meeting. If not, take a vote at that time, once we have more feedback from the public. And,
So you want to table the first reading until the next meeting of August the 8th?
I think giving people a little more time to notice once we've made the amendments to see what it actually is and constrained to, and not this exaggerated problem that was out there before. It's not a bad idea to get some more public input.
But to Mr. Wilson's point, you can vote tonight, you still have to vote August the 8th. And you can always vote no on August the 8th, or you can always vote yes on August the 8th.
Yeah, we couldn't really get that comment in if we'd done it that way.
I think it's good to get the amended version out to everybody and let them see what it is now.
But it ain't amended because you're not voting on it. It's just amendments thrown out there. The version has not been amended until you vote on it.
What's wrong with second? As long as everybody
Okay.
heard that.
Huh?
As long as everybody heard that.
Yeah. All right. So back to the ordinance as amended.
Councilmember Barker. No. Councilmember Farley.
Yes.
Councilmember Grooms.
Yes.
Councilmember Houghton,
No.
Councilmember Rich,
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin.
No,
All that.
it fails. Okay. On to election of judges. All right, resolution 38-23, a resolution by Folly Beach City Council appointing chief justice, chief judge, and associate judge for the municipal court. All right, so Mr. Graham will call your name. The first vote is for the chief judge.
Councilmember Rich,
Chris Skipper.
Councilmember Barker. Blue. Councilmember Farley.
Skipper.
Councilmember Grooms.
Skipper.
Councilmember Houghton,
Judge Carolyn Blue.
Mayor Goodwin.
Skipper. So Judge Skipper is the chief judge again. For the associate judge,
Councilmember Houghton,
Judge Carolyn Blue.
Councilmember Grooms,
Wetmore.
Councilmember Farley,
Wetmore.
Councilmember Barker,
Wetmore.
Councilmember Rich,
Wetmore.
Mayor Goodwin.
blue. So Mr. Wetmore will be the associate judge. Okay, Mr. Rich, would you like to start city council comments?
Sure. I want to thank Mr. O'Connell again for the email that you sent. You know, we received a lot of emails over the last couple of days, and a lot of people were just still fierce on their side that Mr. O'Connell got what we were trying to do with some of that, and offered some great suggestions that we were trying to adopt by amendment tonight. So thank you, sir. Emails do count when you send them to us, and I know about everybody else, but I respond to all of them because they all mean something. The other thing I'll make is I want to kind of piggyback on what some people have already said tonight. You need to be careful with what you're saying on social media, especially board and committee appointees. You know, if you look at our code of conduct, you're representing the city to some degree, being on that board or committee, and we can censure you and take you off at any time if we see cause. So please, let's all try and work together on things instead of trying to be divisive. That's all I have to say tonight. Thank you, everybody.
Let me make a comment about that. Being on a committee or a board is just like being an employee. If you're on social media, and I don't agree with this, believe me, but if you're on social media, and I've been told this many, many times by an employment lawyer, if you're on social media on your own time, on your own dime, on your own machine, the city has no control over what you say, as long as you're not saying the city said this or the city said that.
We do have a section that council can remove somebody for cause.
If I can't fire an employee for doing that, you can't remove one from the council member.
We'll put that one to the test.
Yeah, well, try it. Okay.
Okay, on a significantly lighter note, I would like to call your attention, for those of you who haven't seen this marvelous work, Dr. Richard Beck, former mayor of the city of Folly Beach, took a significant amount of time to research and write this, in some ways his memoirs, for a decade or so of time on council and in the mayor's position. He was gracious enough to provide every council member with a copy. I managed to read it this past weekend. Was certainly enlightened. I think it's wonderful. If there aren't copies available at the library, I think some should be made available. I'm happy to donate mine, but it's awesome. If you have an opportunity to track it down, you'll learn a lot.
I didn't really think that actually I'd have a comment, just because it's been quite a week since Friday. But I think I'm just going to give it a stab. I think one of the things that made me so sad is that no matter what, we love Folly. We'll see it differently, but she's wonderful. We all came, fell in love, I mean, my gosh, 15 years ago, I'm getting old. And we're all so different, but yet we're also the same. And so that no matter what happens, as far as, yes, it might be STRs, 2 years ago it was COVID, my heavens, when I think about it. I just really honor the fact that you've allowed me to be your voice or your vote or anything of that nature, and I love Folly, and it's not hokey, and I think we all do. So the fact that we have so much emotion and commitment and want to speak is a wonderful thing. So thank you. I appreciate all the emails, all the texts, and all the feedback. And I honor that folks want to be so engaged.
Thank everybody for coming. I enjoy hearing from everybody, particularly those that are kind enough to share a differing point of view in a civil matter. It's refreshing to kind of exchange ideas. We don't always have it right, but it's good to hear from people. And if we just keep it Folly. Everybody have a good night.
Well, thank everybody for coming tonight. This, again, shows passion, I think, for everybody in the room. I love the poem, by the way. I thought that was very, very unique and wonderful. Chris, I know the balance that you brought up. I think that's a good key. And Kristen, with the wait list, I think that was, I think that's something needed. And again, I honor and respect everybody's opinion. I think that it's a difficult task that we're going with, and what you guys are doing, and your love for Folly as well, that I do feel it. I feel it's a very kind, a kind community, the kindness. And I looked kindness up before I came, because that's one of the things, the reason that I did move here is this kindness. It's a quality of being considerate, gentle, and patient with those that need help. So we certainly need help in making these big decisions. So thank you for your patience and your kindness, and being who you are.
Before I entertain a motion to adjourn, I'll say thank you for being here. Thank you for being civil. Thank you for basically following all the rules and regulations of the meeting, but we got it through, and we got it through easily enough. And this is the way you can do it. And you don't have to be beating each other up on social media again. I mean, that's crazy, guys, just crazy. But anyway, a motion to adjourn?
So that